Hello, 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 and welcome to the Bridges and Beacons podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Meyerson, and today I have back one of my favorite guests of all time, April Porter. And I just wanted to share that the first episode that April ever did on my podcast is still, for the longest time running, the most popular episode out of all. So, April Porter is a human design guide for entrepreneurs and creatives and the creator of the Heretical Frequency, a music based deconditioning tool pairing every chart element with curated playlists for nervous system reset. She helps people stop performing who they were taught to be and start trusting who they actually are. Yes, I'm so excited about this. April, thank you for coming back on the podcast.
Yes, thank you for having me. I always have a great time.
Oh, thank you. I love this whole idea of having music that pairs with human design. This is next level. And you were saying to me before we pressed the record button, that you've been able to sort of figure out like we can listen to this song
Mhm.
versus having to have a lot of conversation. So, how did this start for you using music and a frequency paired with human design?
Yeah, so this is kind of an interesting story, and I apologize, it might be a little bit lengthy, but so this kind of goes back to 2020. And I don't know if you saw the video or remember, but there was a video going around at the time on social media of a young woman who was playing Dreams by Fleetwood Mac. And she was sitting on her bed playing like an acoustic guitar. She had a mic, and I love this song. I have loved this song since I was a child. It's like a thread of my childhood, but it also brings up a lot of emotion for me. And as I was listening to it, it was like, I have to hear this. And so my mom actually lives with us and she has the record. So I went and I was like, can I borrow your record? And I put it on play. And then I kept coming back to Dreams on the Rumors album. And I was playing it over and over and over. My family was sick of it, but I was playing it over. And every time I would play it, I would cry. And I was like, what is this? Like, I love this song. And also, it makes me so sad. And I didn't realize at the time what I was doing, but I was playing it over and over. And then I started playing it in my car. And it just kind of like evolved to like the loop of the year. And that song went around in other places that year too. I think there was a guy skateboarding, listening to it, social media kind of thing. So it was really prevalent. And I've dug into the history and legacy of this song since then, which is fascinating. But what I realized was that over time, my relationship to that song changed. Like how I responded to it changed. The more I played it, the less it triggered that sadness. Like it didn't erase it. It's just I didn't sob when I heard it. Um, and over time, it just shifted more and more and more. And so over the last few years, I've been doing this with songs. And at first, probably the first 2 or 3 years, it was kind of unconscious. I just kept like finding a song and it would do something to me, and I would listen and listen and listen. And then I was like, wait a minute, what is going on here? Because there is something happening. I am shifting something, and I'm not talking to anybody about it, right? Like it's just an internal process that's happening. It's like the more I can be with it, and I think this comes back to some of the grief work that I've done too, and the grief trainings is like the more we can be with our feelings and our grief, the more we can move. I don't want to say through it because I don't know that we're ever through it, but like be with it more intentionally and it doesn't destroy us. And so that was what was happening to me. And so then I thought about a year or so ago, I was like, what if we just started looking at specific songs to use? And I started using them in my programs of like around money mindset and things. And then I thought, what if we pair it to the human design chart? Right? Because our energy type, our profile, all these places in our chart where we're always trying to do this work of like, how do we pull back and see ourselves? How do we re-pattern what we know about ourselves or how we are being in this way? And I have a fifth line profile. So the projection field is really, really a doozy at times. And so I just started looking for songs that had themes that connected with the common condition themes and then also what that highest expression of what we want to embrace in that was, and then started pairing these And it took me months and months to go through song after song and pull up lyrics and look at it and then listen to it. And eventually I mapped out the whole chart.
That's like, okay, it's crazy. I'm thinking to myself, how much music? Because when you think about the different profile types, the line numbers, there's 64 different gates, plus there's lines per gate. There's the shadows and the gifts and the acidic state. And that's incredible that you were able to even get in there and start to find those matches. So how does that process go? Did you just start listening to music and say, this feels a little like a 37? You know?
Actually, kind of, yeah. So I would be listening to music and I would think, this reminds me of that gate, or this reminds me of a projector, or a manifesting generator, or whatever it was. I just was kind of like keeping this log in the back of my mind and I would write down notes. And this was before it was like a conscious thing of like, I'm going to make something out of this. And over time, I was like, I have all these playlists, right, for different things. And so then I started going through my favorite songs that I just play over and over, or songs that really feel like there's some message or charge to it. And I'm like, what is this? What's here? And so I went through all those playlists. And then I went through new music. And a lot of these playlists come from 70s, 80s, 90s, a lot of 80s and 90s, I'll tell you, because I think that my demographic that I work with is mostly around my age. So we grew up in that time. And so I think that coming back to some of these familiar songs that are the songs of our youth and our childhood and those formative years really make a big impact. But then bringing in new music, music that maybe some people haven't heard before, is a new way of infusing something different into that as well. So every part of the chart has at least three songs connected to like the gates or the channels. And then the energy type has like eight per um, energy type. And then there's one prompt with it. And that prompt can be a journal prompt. You could write with it, you could speak it, you could just contemplate it. Like it's nothing that you really have to do, you just have to be with it. And the thing about music is that it bypasses our meaning making part of our brain. It goes right to the emotional part. So we can actually get out of our like that conscious, like analytical thinking and just be with it and feel. And that's what I love about it.
It's so cool. The other thing I'm thinking about it is because there's rhythm and as an OT studying sensory processing, when I think about things that are nourishing for your nervous system and help you to kind of feel grounded and organized, it's rhythm. Like we pick rhythmical songs and rhythmic activities to engage in, and the rhythm is what regulates. So that is also such a cool piece of that.
Yeah, I think it's both, right? Like there's some songs that we just feel in our bodies, and it's the rhythm. And there's so many songs that are created from other songs that hit in a similar way. And so I think when we start mapping some of these things out, we notice like, oh, I love this, and it reminds me of this other thing.
Hmm.
And for me, like the dream song, it takes me right back to being like 3, 4 years old. And it's both good because I remember like those were some of the happiest times of my childhood, but they were also some of the more tumultuous. Like I remember my parents fighting and they were very young. Um, and like that conflict of like being a child and not really knowing what it meant and feeling uncertain, but then also having all these happy memories attached. And that's why it brought me so much joy and the sorrow at the same time.
Hmm.
And it's not like I can go back and just change that, but I can change my relationship to what those memories bring up for me.
Hmm.
And that song can still hit and bring up some of those memories and not make me it's not debilitating anymore, right? It doesn't just take me out.
Hmm. Yes, totally can relate to that. There are definitely songs. I used to call them oatmeal songs from my childhood because my parents used to listen to the radio in the morning, and I'd be like sitting there eating my oatmeal, probably like three, four, five. And there were songs that were on the radio at that time. So like late 70s, early 80s classic rock, right?
Hmm.
And I hear those songs and I'm taken like right back to sitting in my kitchen eating oatmeal and knowing like it's the start of the day and my parents are drinking tea and we're listening to, 102.7 at the time, So it's like it just really it sticks in there.
Isn't it funny how music and like smells can take you right back to
Mhm.
a core memory of some sort and like things that you have forgotten or and here's the other part about songs that's fascinating to me. I can hear a song that I haven't heard in 30 years and I still remember all the words to it. I'm singing along to it. Like it's just stuck in us. It's so
Mhm.
fascinating to me.
Yeah, I noticed that, and you can appreciate, talking about the 80s commercials.
Hmm.
We found, not too long ago, my husband found a whole compilation on YouTube of commercials from our childhood, and we played it for my son who's 12, and we were literally singing along to everything. It is all in there. You asked me what I had for lunch on Monday, and I'm not really sure. I don't remember. But you asked me to sing, the commercial for Kleenex from 1985, probably have that in there.
Hmm. Yeah, or the double mint gum. Remember
Oh
that
yeah.
one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear them too in my head right now. It's so
Yeah.
funny.
They stick in there. It's so funny you mentioned the sense of smell because that has such a quick like your olfactory sense hits so quick into your brain versus like a lot of other things that we're processing have to kind of come through all the different parts of your brain through the cortex to get there. That goes straight back and straight in, which is why smell can be so potent. But it makes me think, what is it about music? And I'm sure there's theory about it that is hitting in so much the same way. The tunes, the tones. I mean, I can remember, my high school boyfriend, I was listening to the Cranberries all the time. For years after we broke up, I couldn't listen to the Cranberries without having like this cringy, stressed feeling. Like I had really literally attached that feeling in that time to that CD.
Hmm. Yeah, so there's a DJ who has a podcast. Her name is DJ Hestapren, and she has a podcast called Music is Therapy, which is really kind of cool. And she talks about, she says this all the time too. She's talking about how like we always think that the music of our like high school teen years is the best music of all time, right? And everybody thinks that. And she's like, but it's true because there's so much happening in our brains at that time, so many memories and identity shifting that's happening at that time that's what locks in. But then she's also about her age and she's like, yeah, but the 90s were the best. So,
Totally.
so 90s music is the best.
It is. It is. And I think it's also, I wonder about the time in history, how we were feeling. If you grew up in the 80s and in the 90s, it was sort of the first time in history that, like, for the most part, and I mean, I'm totally generalizing, it was a pretty decent time to be alive. Many people were thriving. Obviously, some people were not, but I think as a whole, collectively, and we started to have a lot more access to things than we have now or we had had before. Just, I mean, and even access to music
Hmm.
changed, right? You used to have to buy the record.
Hmm.
And
And then
then it was cassettes. And like, sadly, I mean, who did not love the cassette because we had mixtapes.
yeah, except if you left it in the sun.
And then, yeah, and then it died a sad death and you were very depressed about it, or it spun out and then you had to spin it
Yeah,
with a
the
pencil to
pencil.
get it back in there. But man, road trips with like your playlist, or like
Hmm.
you really care about somebody, your best friend, you make them a playlist. And I mean, getting in the car and listening to the songs that have been curated by somebody for you, like it's like a whole psychological, emotional, physical experience.
It's like another love language.
Hmm.
And I think what's interesting about like the 80s and 90s, well, probably before that even, like you know, before probably what the 50s, music was very, very different. And then we started to have what, 50s, 60s, we had Motown come in, and then like things started to shift. So by the time we got to and we had folk and all the different genres before that. But then we got to the 80s and we started to have punk, and then we had um, like a different kind of rock and pop music, and it was just very different. And then we get to the 90s and we have grunge and like all these like new genres of music that we haven't seen before. So I think that yeah, there's something special about that time frame. And we could go back and say that about the 50s, 60s, and 70s too. And music today is different again, but the music that we had and the instruments that we had to make that created very different sounds than we'd heard before.
Hmm. And we had MTV,
Yes, and
right?
MTV was good then.
MTV was good. I mean, it was now, I don't even know. I don't watch MTV anymore, but like when MTV began, it was all about the music
Yeah,
and the
music videos.
video, right? So yeah, I think there's something to that. And again, there's probably people who are super brilliant about it, but I love the idea of pairing music with human design because it can get a little wordy, it can get a little heady for some people to take in, but to say, check out this song for the flavor of this gate, and for people to be like, oh, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I feel it. And getting more resonant and feeling and having a sensory experience versus trying to intellectualize too much.
Exactly. Exactly. So we can take a part of the chart and I can give you a song and you listen to that song and maybe you don't know what it means right now. But the more you listen to it, the more you feel it, the more you hear the words. And there's that single journal prompt that gives you kind of a clue of what direction it's going in, right? Like this is the kind of the theme that we're looking at with this song. And that's all it takes. Just listen to it. Maybe you put it on repeat. Maybe you put all your playlists on repeat for your chart because the way that I have it set up, it's a custom chart. So you put your information in and you get the playlist just for what belongs in your chart. And then you add those
Mm,
to Spotify and you can put it on random, or you can just go through like energy type or profile or whatever it is, or this one channel, right? So maybe you're having a struggle with like understanding this channel and how it works or how it shows up in your life. And I think as a projector, sometimes it's really hard for us to see ourselves. And we're like, what do you mean? Like, we're supposed to be recognized for these defined channels. And I'm like, but how does that show up? Like, I'm a projector and I have the 731. And I'm like, okay, but that's about leadership. And I'm like, here to wait for the invitation and be recognized. Like, this feels contradictory, right? And it's one of those conundrums in the chart. But I put on that playlist and I'm like, oh, yeah, now I remember.
hmm. I love that. Do you have any really good examples that you could share with the listener?
Um, I feel like I have so many songs and playlists in my head that it's so hard to, off the top of my head, map those to the parts of the chart right now. So I'd have
Gotcha.
to pull it up to tell you like a specific one. Um, yeah, I'm kind of drawing a blank right now because there's just so many parts. I mean,
That's
so
fine.
many parts of the chart with all the songs.
We'll we'll let that bounce around your brain and see if something pops out for you. But I'm thinking about, you know, I love to write poetry. And
Mhm.
sometimes, like if being I'm an emotional authority. Sometimes being in my low part of my emotional wave, I feel like I have more connection with a flow of words. And if I'm
Mhm.
not in it, but I feel like writing, sometimes I'll play Radiohead, which is,
Mhm.
kind of very dark and somber and, but like the music is also so dark and beautiful.
Mhm.
And it's almost like getting down into that deep despair, sadness, and writing from that place just to relate to it.
Mhm. Yeah, it's like you have to get in there to feel it.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so I just pulled up one thing here. And so like the profile line 3, right, which is all about experimentation and learning through doing, right? And we know that there's no wrong with the third line, right? It's all learning. So one of the songs that I have paired with that is like Go Your Own Way by Fleetwood Mac, right? Like you get to do it your way. Choose your own path, even when it disrupts expectations.
Okay. shut the front door because, okay, I am a line three, and I definitely have done a lot of healing around like feeling like I always make too many mistakes. And as I was thinking about coming into 2026, that song kept showing up in my head over, and you can go your, and like every once in a while when I start to like hit that wall of like, am I doing the wrong thing? Should I be doing something different? Am I going to make a mistake? I hear you can go your own way. Like
Hmm.
you can go your own way, and you don't have to do it like anybody else does it, and you don't have to worry about it. Like just do it. Go for it. Yeah, so
Exactly.
I love that you gave that example. It's perfect. Yeah.
And so the journal prompt for that is like, where am I ready to trust what I've learned and move differently? That's it.
Mm.
Like that's all there is to it. And you just put that on and listen, right? And I think some of us, like you and I were talking before, some of us get messages through music. Like I wake up sometimes with music in my head and I'm like, oh, that's weird. Wonder why that song's in my head. And it wasn't until I started playing more and more with this, I realized that there's a message in that song. Sometimes it's just the title that has the message. Like I went through a friendship kind of breakup more recently, and I woke up after going through all this grief of it and everything, and the songs that were playing in my head were um It's the End of the World as we know it, and I Feel Fine. Right? And Closing Time. I don't know if you remember
So
Closing,
perfect. Oh yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. That
And I
that
was like,
reminds me of going to college in the 90s. That was like a
yeah,
very popular like we're gonna play that one as the bar is closing.
right? Every new beginning is comes from some other beginning's end, right? And I was like, yeah, I get it. Like, thank you. I needed that message. Like, it's all okay, and I'm gonna be fine.
Mm-hmm. And it's the end of the world is it, and we know it. Yeah. I love that. I love that so much. I also I get messages through music, very often hearing repeated lines. And for so long I just kind of like, oh, doesn't everybody just get music like that just gets stuck in their head on a loop? And I started to be like, no, I think this is more meaningful than that. And I was telling you about a time when I was hearing a flute part from a song, and I knew it was a Beastie Boys song, but I couldn't figure out which one. So I listened to a whole bunch until I could figure it out. And I was like, nope, it's a flute from. Then I was like, no, flute connect to a different song. And then by the time I got done, I jumped from song to song to song and pulled a little something from each song. Um, but it ended up being Stairway to Heaven that I was like, okay. And I listened to it and I was like, no, I have to listen to it again. No, I have to listen to it again. No, I have to sing the words. I have to listen to the lyrics. I have to look at the lyrics. I was like really diving deep, and I was like, this is a message. This is
Mhm.
something I'm supposed to hear and something I'm supposed to feel. And I don't remember the specific words of the message, but the way that I was supposed to feel was like, yes, this is the way. This is what you're supposed to be doing. This is your stairway. This is the way you're supposed to go. And to really to embrace and trust that, you know?
And I think so many of us um, receive messages. I've been paying attention to intuition a lot lately. And it's so fascinating because I think there are things that are just so inherently a part of us that we don't realize that we are intuitive or have these psychic kind of abilities. Because I think that we are shown these pictures of what that should look like or what movies and TV tell us it should look like. And we think, well, I don't have that, so I'm not intuitive or I'm not psychic or I don't have these skills or whatever. But so many of us do, but they're just so inherently part of us and they don't look exactly like that that we dismiss it. And so, yeah, we may wake up with these songs in our head, or we may be going about our business and we're humming a song, and all of a sudden we're like, wait, where did that come from? And that it's a message, right? Like that's our intuition speaking to us. We just have to slow down for a minute and recognize it and realize that there's something there for us. It's like looking around and seeing angel numbers everywhere, right? You start hearing the songs or paying attention to the smells or whatever that is.
Hmm. Exactly. It's exactly that. I think it's so fascinating. Um, and once you start to go down that path. It's like your reticular activating system is like, oh, you want more music that has
Mhm.
meaning for you? Let me just throw it at you in random
Right.
moments. And you're like, oh, that's an interesting song to be popping in right now. Or you're talking to someone, like you said, having a disagreement with a friend and a song comes into your head and you're like, oh gosh, like, what song is going to help me through this one?
Sometimes I will be dealing with something and I'm like, I feel like I need a message. And I'll go to my Spotify and I'll just be like, okay, I need some advice. I need some direction around this. And I'm just like, Spirit guides, just send me something. And I'll put it on random. And I swear, 9 times out of the 10, I'm like, oh, okay, I get that. Yeah. Sometimes I have to work a little harder for it. I'm like, what does this mean? Like, are you sure? And then sometimes I'll be like, okay, I need another song, and it'll be on random. And then this other song will come up, and it's the perfect song.
Hmm.
So we can interact with the spirit world or whatever in our own ways and get those messages too. It's fun.
It is fun. It is fun. Spiritual jukebox is what one of my favorite podcasters calls it. That's what happens to her. She starts to just like the songs just start coming right through her. Yeah,
I love
yeah,
that.
yeah. So where are you taking this next? What is the next facet of this, heretical frequency music, and how are you working with people? And if people are hearing this and they're like, I want this, I want someone to be like, here's your Spotify list, go for it.
Yeah, so I'm not sure exactly what happens with it next because this kind of landed in the last few months. And so I'm kind of just still playing with it and having fun with it. And sometimes I'm still adding songs. Like I'm like, oh, I could add another one to that or whatever. Um, but if anybody wants to try it out, you can get just your energy type playlist for free on my website. So I'll give you the link and we can put that in the show notes, hopefully. Um, and then if you want to buy the full report, you can do that. But start with the energy type and just see what happens when you listen because it changes things. And you don't have to quote unquote work for it. Like some things feel like work and this feels like play in a lot of ways. And
Mm,
sometimes, yeah, it brings up sadness, but go at your own pace. If there's a song that you're like, nope, can't do it, hit skip, right? We can come back to it
mhm.
at another time when we feel more resourced for it.
Yeah. I like this a lot, and I like that you brought up the word play, because I think that is an element that's missing in the equation for so many of us. We learned very well how to work and to function and to do all the doing, whether we're a generator type and doing the doing is a thing for us, or we're a projector type and we have to be careful about overdoing the doing. But I just think like there's so much more potential for fun and adventure and play and to be less so prescribed in life about who we are and what we should be doing, really removing some of that conditioning and choosing to listen to music to just be in it and have an experience. I feel like I just want to have experiences. I don't want to be so cerebral anymore. I feel like
Yeah.
I've overdone taking courses. And I mean, there still is, believe me, there is the gut response of like, oh yes, I'll do this course. And I'm like,
I know that one.
I like, no, no, no. You
Hmm.
need to take some time to really feel through that. Do you really want to take another? And then I'm like, no, actually, I really don't. I don't want to learn more. I don't want to be stuck in the thinking and the learning, open-headed najna. So not my best place to be anyway, because I don't really have that sense of certainty and it's not how I best operate. But like feeling music to me feels like, oh, I could do that. That would feel easy and fun. And I like to listen to music anyway.
Hmm.
That's something I enjoy doing. And it's interesting because in those moments where I know I've overloaded myself, I'm feeling really stressful, I won't do that. I'll be sitting in my car in silence and like in the spin or learning through a book or listening to a podcast. Mostly they're fun for me, but
Hmm.
definitely I like to listen to some that are more intellectual and forgetting I could just listen to some of my favorite songs and just remind myself the energy that I like to be in.
Hmm. In fact, if you see this painting behind me, this was something that happened. So last fall, I started painting this. There's a heart in the middle, and then it goes out from there. There's 25 different colors, and it took me hours and hours and hours to do this. But it was one of those things that I put up last fall. I started painting it, and I was like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I just need to play. And that's what started. And then I had one of those moments where I'm like, this is childish. I can't have this. And I covered it up. I primered over the whole thing.
Hmm.
5 coats of primer. I could still see outlines. And I was like, okay. So I sat with it all winter. And a few weeks ago, I was like, no, I keep feeling this pull like it needs to come back. My life needs color and it needs a little bit of chaos in that way of like, just like messy art for the sake of it. And I ended up putting this back. And while I was doing this, I was listening to music. So I feel like there's music baked into this wall. And it's just joyful to me. Like maybe people don't like it. I don't really care because I like it and it makes me happy, right? Like we do so many things for everybody else for the appearance or for what we think we should be doing. And I think when we can all step back and say, I actually just like this because I like it. And
Hmm.
it's okay if you don't like it.
Hmm.
The world
Hmm.
becomes a different place. We become more accepting of one another. And we get to embrace all of our little quirks and weirdness because it's all okay.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy? Looking at it behind you, it looks like a record.
Right?
That's what
I
it
get
looks
that
like
thought
to
too.
me. That's so crazy. It is, I can see at the top where it is a heart. And listener, if you're catching this in your ears and you haven't seen it, go over to YouTube, take a look at the video, and you'll see the really cool pattern. I love it. I've been enjoying your art this whole time. I feel like I get to have a podcast and I get to go to an art gallery at the same time. So I'm winning. I'm having a lot of fun. But I think that's amazing. And when we get so stuck in those patterns and ways of being, really getting ourselves into these creative, expressive moments that are really just for the joy and fun of doing it. I've been doing this with my students at work. I work with kids. And it started with I just wanted a fun Mother's Day project to do with the kids. So I got some air dry clay and I
Hmm.
watched a video how to use like a decorative napkin to make like a little trinket tray. So it went from trinket trays to like, okay, then for Father's Day, we're doing dad dishes or coin catches.
Hmm.
Or like, what can we? And creating all these things with air dry clay and Mod Podge and putting a gloss coat on it. And it just started as like, I just want to do something crafty and fun. And it's turned into like, big bucket number 3, and everybody's doing them. And other people are like, oh, I could use a little bit of a napkin on something and make it look pretty. And the kids can do it. And it's more about the fun than it is about the perfect piece of art that comes out. It's more that unique expression of each child. They picked the colors, they picked the shape, they picked how they wanted it to look, what they added to it. And it's more unique that way. And it's just fun,
It
you
is fun.
know?
We grow up and we forget how to have fun. And I think music is one of those things that brings us right back because we start moving our body and we have fun again. And the more fun you have, the more fun you want to have. And I
Mhm.
think for me, I can so easily get sucked into being serious. Like it it's a default, right? Like I'm going to
Mhm.
be serious. I'm going to learn. I'm going to do these things. And so I had spent months, maybe years even, resisting that part of myself because I felt like I had to get somewhere. I had to do something. And then when I realized, like, no, I need to have more fun, actually, the rest of life expands when we have more fun. And
Mhm.
it shows our kids, like, it's okay to play. Like, you don't have to grow up and be boring. Like, you can grow up and play too, and still be responsible and have nice things. Like, you can have
Mhm.
all of those things, um, and have fun.
Yeah. I think it's so important, and I think it's such a differentiator right now. That we can put our energy into something like that. And not feel like it has to be all work. Because I'm a 1-3 profile. So I'm super good at the deep dive, the research, the experimentation. But that doesn't have to look like me with my nose in a book and filling out forms, though very often it will. And
Mhm.
I do enjoy it, but doing something different with my hands when I don't know what the outcome is going to be, it does just shifts the energy.
Yeah.
It really does.
And I
Yeah.
love the idea of like, just make bad art. Like, give yourself permission to make bad art. Whatever that looks like, make bad music, make bad paintings, doodle, whatever it is, like just make bad art because it takes the pressure off of it having to look a certain way or be some certain outcome, and you just get to be in the fun of it. And that's the play, right? When we're doing it because we expect it to look really good and then it doesn't look like we want it to, we get disappointed and discouraged. But when we go into it with like, just make bad art, like no matter what comes out of it, it's fun. Like finger paint, use your feet, whatever. Like it's fun.
Yes. I love it too because I don't know what your anticipation was of adulthood, but I'm not sure I anticipated the way that I'm living my life now. I think I was more conditioned to think like there are particular mile markers that you've got to hit, and if all goes well at 65 or so, you're going to retire. And then what? Then you get to have fun. That
Maybe
just
if you can still move,
maybe,
right? Like, like
you
what if
know.
your health isn't good? Or what if you don't make it that far? Like,
Oh,
tomorrow's not guaranteed, you
I
know? So
know.
we have to live now
Hmm.
because tomorrow, there's no promise.
Mm-mm. Agreed. And it doesn't have to be doom and gloom. I think
No.
it's a life well lived. I think
Hmm.
for me, part of that has been embracing my human design, embracing being an emotional authority, having a 1-3, being a manifesting generator. And you know what? I've got a defined throat. Everybody's going to hear me whether I want them to or not. And
Hmm.
I would love to be somebody who can whisper and you never notice me, but it is not happening. I have tried for 50 years, people. I try really hard sometimes, but it is just not my natural state of being. And the more I let that go, I'm like, of course, have good things to say something important, but like it doesn't have to be that serious. And I love the idea that adulthood doesn't have to be that serious. And yes, I pay my bills and yes, I pay taxes and I go to work,
Hmm.
but I also have a lot of fun. And that was something I didn't necessarily expect to experience as a woman in midlife. I did not expect my life to be fun. I think maybe at best I thought, yeah, I'm going to be really successful and I can go on vacation once a year. And that
Hmm.
will be fun.
And we were talking about this before we hopped on. It's like this time in life, we get to this point where we're like, we just care less about what other people think and we return to who we truly are. And our
Hmm.
human design is such a great map to get us there, right?
Hmm.
And I don't know about you, but I have been going back to those teen years and being like, what did I love then? Like, I want to do more of that
Hmm.
because I felt so alive and inspired and excited for life then. I want more of that.
Hmm. Hmm. Yes. Well, you probably won't be terribly surprised that in the 80s, when we had those Fisher Price little cassette recorders when they first
Hmm.
came out and they had a little microphone,
Uh-huh.
immediately I had a radio show. So I feel like maybe that was the first podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like I was on there talking about the weather and telling stories and so I think when I gave myself permission to do a podcast, being like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I've got a pretty good use of my voice. So let's give it a go and see what happens. So yeah, I think it's really special. And sometimes when you follow that joy lens and you're like, this really lights me up, it can become something that you get to offer other people. And maybe there is a financial compensation for you on the other end of it, and maybe not. But just to know that your creativity can be fulfilling,
Mhm.
even bad art. Although I feel like bad art is better than good art sometimes. I don't know. I suppose we could debate that. But if
So
you call
subjective,
your,
right?
it's subjective, right? You've been to, an art gallery and you're like, I don't get, people are like, I don't get it. And you're like, I'm so inspired right now. I need to go like sit down and paint something or write something. So I love this. Thank you so much for this conversation, April. This has been so fun and so inspiring. I'm going to put everything in the show notes for you listeners so that you can hop down there, and you can go over to April's website and start your journey with using music with your human design, which I will absolutely be doing. I've already started, I feel. Any last words of wisdom or anything you'd like to share with the listener?
I don't think so. I mean, I think we covered so much, and I just love this this phase of like, let's just play. Let's just have fun. Let's bring in the things that bring us joy. And I think after the last 6 years that we've been through and moving into the next couple, like we need more joy. We need more play. And I mean, I even look at my kids and I'm like, they just like they're so saturated with devices and stuff and they're like pushing back against it. They want CDs now and they want like all the things that we've moved away from and it's like they want to unplug and I think that we can take a cue from that and just come back to some of those basics and play, put the music on and dance.
I love that. And I think it's a like very joyful rebellion
Hmm.
to choose to play while other people are like, the world is on fire and being like, and maybe you're right, maybe not, but I'm going to play and I'm
Yeah.
going to enjoy life. And that is something that cannot be taken away. So,
Yeah.
yes, let this be your rebel moment. Make bad art.
Love it.
Well, thank you so much again. I'm so honored to have you here, and I'm really excited to see what's next for you. Listener, thank you for listening all the way to the end of the podcast. And make sure if this resonated with you, find a joyful spirit in your life and share it with them. Be sure to like and subscribe so you can get more of these episodes in your inbox and in your ears. And as always, I ask you to continue to serve humanity. When we do good and when we talk about it, we really do heal the planet one conversation at a time. Thank you so much. See you next time. Bye for now.